Hello all. Alright, this next subject we're going to talk about is a difficult one. It's so big that it could take up 10 of these videos and hardly even scratch the surface. So I'm going to go at just one tiny part of it. Anyway, let's go and try and figure out the big stuff. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, we saw this on the last video. And what it is how to transition from a zero-type civilization to a one-type civilization, or a K1, whatever you want to call it. There's about 5 of these types of civilizations on the theory. This is all theoretical. Nothing has been proved. But they believe that in the universe there are type zeros like us, type 1s, which use their entire planet as a renewable. They no longer take from the planet, and they have a sustainable population and lifestyle. Type 2 civilization uses their entire sun to power their civilization. The way it's done is they'll take the sun and put solar collectors all the way around the sun like this, and then beam all the energy to the planet they live on. That would be a type 2. Then a type 3 is basically we don't really know, and it's sort of you can travel galactically all throughout the universe. This is kind of interesting because some of this is actually being looked at through SETI, a group of people who are trying to find ET or another type of civilization. The work that SETI is doing is fascinating, and I've been following it ever since they've been doing SETI, and actually have helped them in computer power, which anybody can do, through years of helping them calculate different, whatever it is they're calculating. You don't know, you just get batches and then you send them back to SETI after your computer has done whatever it does to it. But that's not what I wanted to talk about either. What I wanted to talk about is the transition period from a type 0 to a type 1. Let me show you what I mean. There's a space. It's something like this. Okay, type 0, type 1 civilizations, and what the civilizations have to do to get from type 0 to type 1. Type 1, remember, is renewable. You live within your means, and so forth. So it's the process of getting through this barrier right here. This is considered the barrier which kills most type 0 societies or civilizations. They can't get from here to here because there's too much to deal with in between. One of the things that they have to deal with, well, here, let's just go make a small list. So the list would be human greed, selfishness, violence, population numbers, land use, pollution, and technology. Technology, I think technology, we would have no trouble getting into a type 1. In fact, many people say that a lot of our technologies, like communications, transportation, are already getting very close to a type 1. So we'll not work on technology too much. We'll just work on this, like human greed. A good example of human greed. There is a female who lives by herself, lives in a wealthy community across the bay from here. And what she wants to do, or what she is trying to do, she bought 2 properties side by side, which had brand new homes on it. One was 7 years old and the other one was 5 years old. One was almost 4,000 square feet, the other one was 3,600 square feet. So she put in a proposal that she would tear down these homes and put up a 14,900 square foot mansion for her to live in. That is just greed. That's the main thing that humanity has to get past. And it's very difficult for people to get through the greed part. They think they have to have as much stuff and things as possible to show off to their neighbors and their friends that they have the ability to collect lots of money and things. But what would happen to get, the thing that would have to happen to get rid of this greed thing is that we would have to be able to take all of our wealth and give it to the poor. There's no way out of it. You have to share what you have. And that brings us right into selfishness. I know so many wealthy people, as we have all these trucks going by now. We have all these wealthy people that live around this area in San Francisco. It's becoming a city for the wealthy. And so many of them can't stand the homeless. They have this war against the homeless here. You can't sit down, you can't lay on the sidewalk, you can't beg for money, you can't get fresh water, and you can't go collecting cans and bottles and turn them into recycling centers. What the wealthy want is for the homeless to go away. Instead of helping the homeless go away by giving them sustainable living conditions, with all the billions or millions that these people have, such as politicians, how many of these politicians are helping the homeless? So we need to get through selfishness. Violence is definitely hardwired into humans. Here in the U.S., people voted in Obama to try and get rid of violence, to end the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and try and bring all the drones and the soldiers home and send out the diplomats to and I mean real diplomats, real people like educators, teachers, that type of people, go out and try and make peace with the world through their mouth and not through their guns. That's a big one that we have to go through. But we thought here in the U.S. that Obama was going to change that. But all he did was accelerate it. That's going to be a real hard barrier to get through to a Type 1. That's about the only thing that a Type 1 civilization would be able to use efficiently. It would run on solar power, air and water, and it would be a huge project that would give lots of money to a lot of people for a long time, but it'd be well worth it. Good infrastructure always pays off, and reducing all the carbon footprint that we have on the planet is absolutely crucial to get past to a Type 1 civilization. The next one is land use. Humans need the animal and plant life that is on the planet, and we need to make sure that the natural environment has more land than the humans do. Right now it's in reverse. There's no way that the natural planet is going to survive in the condition it is now. Okay, and then we go to pollution. And pollution is a mental state. Most people inside their living area, their homes, keep it pretty clean and unpolluted. But the minute they go outside their homes, they start throwing away all this pollution out the tailpipe, they throw junk on the floor, they poop their dogs on the sidewalk, on and on and on. Pollution is going to be an almost impossible one for humans to get through. They seem to be able to grasp it inside their homes, but once they get out, anything goes. And we talked about technology. Technology is almost there. So we have one that works. So this is what it looks like. This is probably why scientists haven't found a single new civilization, is that the Type 0 cannot get through all this baggage to get up to a Type 1 civilization. And apparently once you get to a Type 1 civilization, going from a 1 to a 2 is pretty easy, and from a 2 to a 3. But going from a 0 to a 1, you have a huge obstacle in the way right here. And this obstacle, with every one of these things, has to be fixed. And not just by the politicians, by every single human on the planet. Humans haven't got a chance. Well, I want to, I guess we'll stop here on a little hike. what about Russell Schutt's comment on the February 17th, 2012 video, the one just before this one? He mentioned that most of the governments seem to be the same, and I agree. They all seem to be following the same script: privatize, cut, and become more wealthy themselves. It's more of a take from the poor and give to the rich, meaning themselves, really. Because how many poor politicians do you really know? Even the poorest ones are far wealthier than we are. And does wealth carry all the power? It sure does. And it carries status. And those things seem to be extremely important in humans' life for some reason. I can't say I ever got into either one of them myself. Thanks, Russell. Okay, Brick Vader also made a comment on the last video. Artist Taxi Driver's video that he did, and he did an interview with that politician that he thought it was pretty useless. And I agree. I sort of think it is useless, but I also think it taught some people about how useless these politicians who are in now are, and how they use crap like, oh, it's the people before us's fault that we signed the bill, or something like that. And really, you know, we have to ask who put these politicians in, you know, both in the UK and the US. We did. And now they're doing exactly what we don't want them to do. But yet, we don't seem to do anything about it. Or at least not many, there's just a few. But really, here's my thinking on it. There may only be a few people on this channel, but how do I know that the people on this channel aren't one who will completely change things in the opposite direction? I mean, if you look through history, that's the way it's done. One person changes history over and over and over. You know, it's usually about power, and it's usually about greed. But once in a while you do see somebody who came along who actually did try to help the people. And you'll find that they lived in fantastic peace for years, even hundreds of years. Whereas when greed rules things, it's all about, you know, war and fast money. And for people to change to a positive, we need to get rid of that thought. So I appreciate your comment, Brick Nation, and I hope you understand what Brick Nation? Brick Vader. I hope you understand where I'm coming from on that. That in the big scheme of things, all these little videos are useless, but who knows whether somebody will get, by listening or watching one of these videos, will get the energy to really make some change and actually become that person we're waiting for. Oh, here I am in dreamland again.